thought this cool idea. As I begin my travel journey and I'm traveling so many different places, I'm now venturing out to places that are different than where everybody else wants to go. I thought it would be nice to compile a list of things that female solo travelers should know and be aware of when they're traveling, especially to countries where everyone doesn't look like us. As I did my research, there's so many places where they talk about female travelers in general, but I wanted to make something compiled for people that look like me and look like some of you. So number one, people will have questions, they'll stare at you and even sneak or blatantly take photos of you, especially if you're traveling to a place like Russia, Germany, or anywhere in Asia where everyone kind of looks the same. You'll see very few people that look like you. Now sometimes people will come up because they're curious. They're thinking like, oh, you might be a basketball player, or you might be a celebrity off a reality show. And that could actually lead to a very insightful conversation. My friend, a couple years ago, he went to Barcelona and he told me, he was like, you know, I was literally one of very few people of color. People were sneaking pictures of him. People were wondering like, is that Eddie Murphy? He looks famous. On TV, they perceive people of color as, you know, this or that. And what they see on TV is like so different from like what reality is, but they don't know that. And then some conversations could lead to discomfort. And that's when, like I said, you use your intuition to basically judge that situation. Like if it makes you uncomfortable, then you leave immediately. Fetishes and hypersexual comments are so hard to avoid, especially as a woman of color. We get catcalled in our neighborhoods, we get catcalled grocery store shopping. It's something that you just can't avoid, but when you're in other countries, it's like, it could be 10 times worse. Always be aware that sometimes how Black women are portrayed is that we're hypersexual, we're promiscuous. So sometimes when people of other countries see that, they think that that's who we are. You have people that have a certain fetish. I've never had sex with a Black girl before. I wonder what it feels like. I wonder how your body parts look. People really have a goal to have a trophy. It's like, oh, I slept with a Black girl before I did it. So always be aware when you're out and you're mingling and you're connecting with people, what their true intentions are. It doesn't mean that you can't have fun, because that's the whole point of going on vacation, is to meet people, but also be aware of what that person's motive and intentions are. Next, there are hubs of Black people everywhere. Even in the whitest country, you will find someone that looks like you. Always research the different hubs that are full of people of color. When I travel, I always do that. Even within the United States, I'm always asking or always researching what's the predominantly Black areas that are safe, or the areas where it's full of majority Black or Africans or Hispanic people, so that I can feel some sort of comfort. I did this poll on my Instagram where I asked people when they travel, if you're like me, like when you're traveling, even just through the airport and you look at your flight and the people at the gate, do you feel a sense of comfort to see more people that look like you? And that's me. Even when I'm traveling places, the more people of color I see, the more excited and comfortable I get. And it doesn't mean that I hate anything that doesn't look like me. It's just I love everything that looks like me, and it just makes me feel more comfortable. I don't feel like I'm alone. It's kind of like that scene on Get Out where the main character sees like other people in that town that look like him, and he's like, you know, yeah, what's going on? Racism is possible. Racism is a global issue that affects a lot of people, whether you're the one spewing the hate or the one receiving it. It's something you can avoid. So here in the States, if a Karen walks up to you, you're going to respond But what happens when you're in a whole different country? Racism can happen on your own turf, but how do you respond if it's in a whole different place? The best thing to do is just avoid it, because the last thing you want to do is, one, get locked up abroad, and then two, other countries have different laws on how they handle things, and it's so unfortunate. And it's not that you don't want to deter you from solo traveling, but it's also something that you want to look at and you want to consider. So you can't stop people from doing it, so therefore you shouldn't just stop traveling the world. First and last trip in Germany, I was so excited to go to Germany, and I just remember being there and not feeling comfortable the very minute I stepped foot in there. That was my first time being in a country where everybody was like white everywhere. And it was also my first country where I experienced racism on, you know, overseas. You see it on your own home turf. And I just remember going through the airport and looking at how the airport staff, the Germans, how they just treated a lot of people of color, just how they just talked to them. The security, the police was extremely aggressive, and it just made me feel very uncomfortable. The moment I was able to get out of Germany, I felt like a runaway slave, and I was like, I'm never ever coming back. And if you've been on my page, you know that I don't like Germany. I will not go to Germany, and that was Germany last time I ever seen this. I just thought it was just so disgusting, and it was just so unfair. It put a bad taste in my mouth to think that is this how all Germans are. You know, you have to be smart enough to know, like, one experience doesn't speak for all. But that's one country where, you know, sometimes with people you only get that one first impression, and that's the lasting impression, and that's a place I would never live ever. Even if my mortgage rent was free, they was giving me $1 million a day, I would not move there. I don't care. And I started seeing other black people that like work at the airport in Germany. I feel really bad for them, like, wow, you live here. And there's probably some amazing places in Germany, but I'm not giving it a chance. So our next valuable tip that I always do is lie. I lie. Every time I'm traveling, I always lie. I lie about where I'm from. I lie about my name. I lie about just about everything. And I never tell people that I'm solo traveling. The only thing you'll know for sure is my age. Because every time you meet people, they don't need to know everything about you. Now, I had one experience where I met another female solo traveler, and we are good friends to this day, that I met in Punta Cana. And she was a person that told you everything about her. And luckily, she was talking to me, so I was a friendly person with no ill intentions. However, not everyone you will come across someone like me. Therefore, always lie. You never tell people all of your information, because you never know what they're trying to do. People could be scamming you. People could be watching you, looking up information about you that they're not supposed to, or just, I don't know, people are weird these days. So never tell people everything about you. So if you're a black female solo traveler like me, and you want to explore, you're a little nervous about doing it, I say do it. If you've ever been on my page, you know my story that I hopped off the porch. I solo traveled all the way from the US all the way to and it was so scary. It was so stressful. Yeah, it was so new, but I would do it again. It shaped me to be so risk-taking that I am now. Not only that, it just allowed me to say that I'm no longer gonna wait for my friends at all. I'm gonna go. And I did my domestic solo traveling from Atlanta all the way to New York. If you are wanting to begin more solo traveling, join black solo travel groups, or just black travel groups in general that go places together. I'm a part of one. I can list the link down below. Also, if you are a beautiful lady and you are wanting to know how to get flew out download my ebook, which is only $10, where you can get tips on safety, where to find people that will fly you out, and some really good juicy information about, hey, someone has offered to fly me out, what do I do next? It's all covered in my ebook with some really juicy tips. Also, if you are from my previous videos and you want to know how you can get your Nigerian visa, we have a new home. So my Instagram name has changed, so this is my new Instagram name. And also, download my free PDF. It's not going to be free forever. My Nigerian visa is a checklist of how you can get your application in order. I was able to get my visa in under a month, and normally it takes months for you to get it, and I was able to go to Nigeria and have a good time. So there's a lot of people that want to go, and they're like, oh my god, this is so stressful, I don't know what to do. Then if you say, hey, I have the ebook and it's clear, I understand it, but I still need advice, I want to talk to you, then click the link below and set up a consultation so that you can speak with me for 45 minutes, which is really good, and I can get an idea of who you are, tell you my story, where are you in your visa process, and how we can get you your visa as soon as possible. Because now that the COVID regulations are shifting, now people are going to want to be traveling more. You're not the only person that wants to go, so you want to make sure that you go ahead and have those documentations in order. And there was some confusion on the other video, but if you're a US citizen and you own a blue passport, you need a visa to go to Nigeria. If you decide that you're gonna go without a visa, then you can do a visa on arrival, which in my previous videos, you know, I highly do not recommend, because they can't hike up the prices for you. And once you're there, if they say it's like 1,000, you're gonna have to pay that, even if it's not really that. And then when you get your visa, it says $160. Then you're looking like, what? So yeah, other than that, thanks for coming. Bye.